This Newsfile is your most authoritative news analysis platform. The EC is here with documents to show that experts and independent consultants did advise it that Ghana's biometric voting management system, talking BVRs, BVDs, and what have you, the data centers that they are using, that before 2020, the BVRs and BVDs had come to end of life. They had become obsolete, and that replacing them was cheaper than refurbishing them. IMANI disagrees and says we have sunk in just too much to procure new machines when we could have done refurbishing the old, and has other issues with the manner in which the EC speaks about disposing of what it says was obsolete. So you have issued a number of statements in the course of the week. Help us to understand them.
Thank you once again. In the first case, what is the issue?
Yeah.
Is it the issue with procurement or issue with disposal?
Both.
Okay. If you remind today, I will make you my reader. You want to read some documents for me?
Why not?
Okay, good. This is a document from HP Identification. They are the suppliers of the biometric equipment to STL. Please, if you can read here for the public.
And this is it's headed Biometric Voter Registration Kit, end of life. It's 18th May 2018. HSB Identification BV, the Netherlands, has been supplier to Supertech Ghana Limited for the Biometric Voter Registration Kits BVR, used in consecutive voter registration exercise for the elections in Ghana in the past decade. We would like to announce that items in the present BVRs are end of life, including laptops. This means that no components are available to repair items. For purposes of availability, maintainability, and compatibility in the future, we recommend to purchase new BVRs. If you have any questions, please contact us. Sincerely, signed.
These are the suppliers of the equipment that we are saying they are obsolete. Mm-hmm. That others are saying they don't agree. And something, this is what the
Supertech that they referred to. Okay, so whilst the first letter I read was 18th May 2018, this one is 19th November 2018, and it goes to the Deputy Chair of Operations at the Electoral Commission, and it's headed Status of Existing BVRs After Preliminary Checks on January 2018. Following your request to receive the status of existing BVRs after preliminary checks on January 2018 conducted by our teams, we have examined preliminary around 2,500 kits. The tested kits are mainly kits which are serviceable on the 2016 registration exercise. B, 60% of the laptops need to go under service for replacing CMOS batteries, which the original manufacturer refuses to conduct himself due to EOL, end of life, and to take responsibility for the repair. C, in addition, approximately 26% of the laptop are not working or partially faulty. D, 8.5% of the printers are faulty. E, 17% of the batteries are faulty. F, from our experience, the preliminary checks turn on and checking connections cover only some of the faults, and once installing, the image more will fail. Okay, once installing, the image more will fail. G, We would like to remind that in the 2016 registration, we had in total 47% failure rate of the BVRs during the preparation to registration period. We had high rate of failure of prepared kits which were sent to the registration exercise, which created challenges during the registration. H, the BVR kits are more than 7 years old and end of life and can hardly be supported. Please refer to a letter we have received from our supplier, Messrs. HSB, earlier this year. That's what I read earlier. And finally, please note that the tests were conducted 11 months ago. All right?
Then,
I haven't finished reading.
you're tired, eh? Yeah, I mean, this is the consultant who helped us to adopt the biometrics in 2012. So he was hired by UNDP to support the Electoral Commission to do the work. So we also invited him to also come and do assessment. And he's a Canadian Zambian. These are some of the comments he also made.
Okay, so we can read just about three of these comments. The conclusion is that the biometric tool set is obsolete and has reached end of life. The biometric tool set is provided, operated, and maintained by a single vendor. The total cost of ownership of the biometric tool set has reached unsustainable levels, in part due to the numerous additions made to the original solution without resorting to a competitive bidding process. For instance, upgrades and additions acquired in 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2018 were made through a single source bidding process. The EC perceives that it did not get the best value for the invested money.
So this is the third advice.
Yes.
This is the fourth one.
Yes, please make the point you want to make with the fourth one and continue.
Fourth one is also by lasting.
Okay.
So when the commission came, they invited the junior man that you helped to acquire this biometrics. Now the supplier of the equipment and the producer of the equipment and the supplier are all saying that they are of no use now. Dunia come and advise us, and that comment is what you read. Then we brought in Lasting to also come and also have an assessment of it. And he also came and also confirmed all these things. Now you are a new commission that has come to town. What will you do? So what the commission did was that, in that case, let us find a way of managing the system to finish with the referendum, that was 2018, and the 2019 elections. Then when we finish, as everybody is recommending, that we acquire a new system so that we can go to 2020. And those of you, I believe everybody can know that in 2019, during the DLE, there were a lot of complaints. My name is missing, by this, by that. But because it was this level election, the tension and the atmosphere was a bit manageable. So going into 2020 with these complaints, it would have set the country into serious disaster. So that's why the commission decided that let's go and acquire a new equipment. And if you look at the data here, you read that the cost of refurbishment, you say you can't read more.
Cost of refurbishment of the obsolete machines was supposed to be for $56 million US. But the current commission opted to replace them with new equipment and infrastructure at a cost of $68 million US.
And this one was just refurbishment for 2018 and 2019 before you go into negotiation to acquire new equipment, right? And if you look at the unit cost at that time, the unit cost, they are all here. So what the commission thought of was that let's just try and manage what we have for the referendum and the 2019 DLE. Then we'll go ahead and acquire new equipment.
The unit cost of refurbishment was supposed to be $3,465 per BVR kit.
Yes.
Higher than the cost of new ones at $3,423.28.
So, Samson, being the shoot of the community, what will you do? the refurbishment, which was meant for only 2018 and 2019, was even higher than acquiring a new kit. So what would be your decision? So with respect to the acquisition and the rest, I don't want to be wasting much time on it, because we did a lot of discussion on it in 2020 and with a lot of theories. To me personally, sitting here, I don't know what many people are seeking to achieve. I find it difficult. Now, with respect to, so you can see that a lot of savings were made for going for new equipment. Even the previous one, they had only one data center. And that when they said the data itself was also had a challenge. Because initially we were thinking that, was it not possible that all those who are already on the system could be transferred onto our new data center? And they said that the quality of the data will not be sustainable by the new one. They said in transfer, we'll end up losing a lot of data. So that in that case, let us acquire the new data. And for the refurbishment of the then data center was 50 million. Refurbishment was 50 million. The new one that was acquired was 6 million. 6 million.
Dollars.
All the records are here. And I wish that you officially have not been authorized to give it to you. So you can write, so you can have enough time. And so when you come to the disposal of the equipment, the Director for Administration wrote that because, and let's not forget that those that were disposed of were the 2012 to 2014 equipment, not the 2020 that is being used now.
Okay.
So the Director wrote that all these things, obsolete material, a lot of things, are occupying our stores. We don't have even the space. So why don't we dispose of all these things so that we can now have space to maintain our activities and the rest? So he wrote, then the commission wrote to the no, first, we wrote to the...
We're also showing you those machines. If you don't have an idea how they look like, you watch...
So these are the old ones. So they wrote to the State Valuer, STCVI. So they value vehicles and other equipment, so you can see that motor vehicle equipment valuations are great.
So the question that arose from IMANI's checks were that you didn't follow the requisite legal procedures. That's what I'm taking. And that's one too, you are showing that...
Exactly. So we asked the State Valuer to value the documents that have been written to by the Commission that they are obsolete. And these are the documents. I don't know whether you have time to read them. And it covers the regions, what we found, the various 16 regions, and our national... This is the booklet.
So this was the basis for the auctioning?
Yes. So when then we wrote to the Minister of Finance, seeking permission to... Yes. This is it. Today you say you don't want to read that.
Oh, it's important, so let's do it. Why not? Right.
So the commission wrote to the Minister of Finance, seeking permission to auction all these vehicles. The Minister of Finance...
request for authorization for the disposal of some unserviceable vehicles, motorbikes, and other obsolete items from stores.
Yes, so that's the locations. And the Minister of Finance wrote this.
Okay. The locations, are they up to 16? Because we have 16 regions.
17.
Okay, actually there are 17.
By the head office.
Plus head office.
17.
Okay. Oh, and this is from the Ministry of Finance. This is February 2023.
So this
also
is February 13 when we wrote.
Okay. Also, request for authorization for the disposal of some unserviceable vehicles, motorbikes, and other. And the ministry had this to say. We can share a few of them. That the Honourable Minister has granted approval for the Commission in accordance with Section 1581B of the Public Financial Management Regulations 2019, LI 2378, to dispose of by public auction 39 unserviceable vehicles, 10 unserviceable motorbikes, and 245,896 obsolete store items as stated in the board of survey attached to your letter under reference. So the the 245,896 obsolete store items, are they the BVRs or BVDs?
Absolutely. So all the material that are here.
Okay. And then you are giving directions as to how to ensure that you complied with the law in the disposal.
Yes.
Okay.
So when all these things were done, then the commission established what we call the survey board. So that they are the committee or board that take charge of disposal of our materials. So, and we have database of our auctioneers, depending on that. So the 6 of the auctioneers were invited to come and be interviewed. So when they were interviewed, one of them was selected, and it's called Sanidasu Mat. Sanidasu Mat. So when he was interviewed, he also advertised in the papers.
Yeah.
On the 1st of February.
This is the Daily Graphic. Okay, Daily Graphic, Wednesday, February 1, 2023. Auction sale. There is going to be an auction sale at the EC offices, obsolete materials, store items, and serviceable vehicles, so and so at the headquarters, and the date is stated. You are saying that when you read the IMANI release, they suggest that you didn't do all of these, and you are showing that you did them.
Is. So when the advert was made, then the auction was done at the various stages. So that one to have their days that they were done.
Okay.
So if anybody says that we did not go through the processes, there was the one they did, the man who wanted...
IMANI spoke about shady procurement and waste of resources.
We'll come there.
They also spoke about a worse situation where they say they discovered through painstaking checks that the recycling companies engaged for the exercises do not have the strict certifications for source data destruction that is required when disposing of sensitive equipment like this.
This is the company that was giving the contract to the electro-cycling company. And they also have the certificate from EPA. Also,
all right. All right.
It's EPA that
okay.
So we went through all these processes and they were disposed of. You see, before the current commission, when we've been filmed with voting ballots and the ballot press, they are kept for 1 year. Then we burn them. And you know the implications of burning this quantum. Now with this modality, when we finish the election, we'll go to the procurement again, dispose out with the EP and the rest. So that we give it, somebody will come and bid for it, buy them and pay money for those people that were burning. Now we pay. With this the procedure to, after the company has been given the materials, we also went to the offices and there to check whether they have facility to accommodate, because there are a large quantity of them.
All right.
They will check all this. And they paid the amount that they, what they call
Won the bid back.
Won bid with to the consolidated fund. And all these things can be checked because they are not secret issues that you can say that. That's why we are putting the names there. You go to Minister of Finance, it will show you. They will show you where the money was, whether money was there or not. I've given you the name of the company that won the...
IMANI asked the question that you had said that you had auctioned only 10 out of over 70,000 devices. Why 10 and not
something? I want to know
the thousands.
Which document did we say that we have auctioned 10? Which document? Because you go to
they say they have been relying more on documents
from where?
Parliament, particularly, because you deal with Parliament. You give documents to
and
Parliament.
We want, as I'm providing you documents, we also want to see their documents.
Okay.
Now, something, what we should be careful in this country is that we should not destroy our institutions without any intention. If care is not taken...
Without just cause, you mean?
Cause.
Yeah.
If you are going to depend on... You go on the internet, you look for information, then you draw conclusions, and at the end of the day, you'll be exposed. Because clearly, from 2020, we met by Simmons at your program here with our consultant, if you remember.
I remember.
And by Simmons was coming up with what you call Q control theory, that if you're going by that, we cannot register 4 million people within 40 days.
They have been concerned about the cost of our elections too much. Elsewhere, they are doing it for far less.
No, but if you look at our cost for 2020, in comparative terms, if you take 2016, the unit cost per person was $13.3. But if you take 2020, it was $7.7. So I don't know what we should do. And I can tell you, if you had used the what do you call it, the upgrading of whatever before the elections and acquired a new one, we're going to go beyond $20 per day. So of everything that but me, my concern is that I know IMANI to be think tanks.
It's a think tank, yes.
If care is not taken, they become talk tanks.
Really?
Because if you just come out, throw figures out, and you don't substantiate them.
That's not fair. That is
okay.
But they are fair. But they are fair to us.
That's not fair.
Just hold on. Just hold on.
Raising questions.
Just hold on. Just hold on.
Questions.
Thank you very much. Let's speak to Bright Simmons. Bright Simmons is with IMANI, and he's a man who has been on this beat and has been digging out all the that we need to know and giving the caution that has to be given over the period. Yes, Bright Simmons, thank you very much. He's with IMANI Africa. Yes, Bright Simmons, let's hear you. You have heard the Electoral Commission. On this table, on this show, they appear to show that all the claims that you have made against them are not justifiable, are not factual.
Hi, Samson. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me clearly?
Very clearly, sir.
Okay, so this EEC matter, it's very delicate and very elaborate. And it's very easy if you're not paying a lot of attention to the nuances, the facts, the details, to be convinced by performances. And what my good friend in the studio, well, he's not my friend, but not the good gentleman in the studio, has just done is a performance. Look carefully at the dates and things like that, because as I proceed, you begin to see unraveling before your eyes this elaborate subterfuge that they've used to deceive Ghanaians for many years. Let's start with debunking a lot of the things he said right from the outset. This is the Civil Registration Center for Development. It's one of the world's leading think tanks that focuses on looking at elections in the world. And you were absolutely right when you pointed out to him that the cost of Ghana's elections have historically been very high. So if you think of, by 2016, for instance, the cost of elections in Ghana was about nearly 4 times the cost of elections in the UK. And that has been the case historically. What he does right now is absolutely and blatantly present falsehoods as facts by claiming, for instance, that the cost of elections in Ghana is $7.7. The cost of elections in 2020 was $7.7 per voter. We've seen these lies all the time.
On the onset, may I say that you don't say he's presenting falsehoods as facts, but present your facts as you know them and allow us to judge, because he backs what he says. He backs what he says with documents. Okay, go ahead.
He was commenting on my work and he did the same. So this is primarily the way he would like to proceed. The $7.7 that he uses, if you go and look at the records in the Ministry of Finance, the Parliament, etc., that are public records, you will see how much money we spent in total in 2020 as 1.363 billion cedis. You can compare what we spent years before when we had no elections, and you can then subtract, as they do, to establish how much exactly we spent because of the elections. So what I'm saying is that it's very simple. You take the years before we had elections, say 2019, 2018, etc. Then you get to 2020 when we have elections. You look at the difference in terms of the budget amount allocated to the EC. When you get that number, it's about almost 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. Then you divide it by the total number of registered voters for that election, and you strike an average, you get $12.5, not $7.7. This is the highest we've ever seen, and one of the highest in the world. So when they tell you it's $7.7, either you do the math yourself, as we've explained our methodology, or you take their word at face value. The problem in this country is that we don't have enough people, enough institutions, enough organizations that are willing to go through the fact-checking process and hold these institutions to account. So they just say anything and they get away with it. Number one. Now, to try and let us understand what is going on with the EC situation, you have to understand that the EC system is not one system. It's a number of different things. And Dr. Seribo has mentioned a number of them in the studio. You have the system that more or less organizes and manages everything. You can think of it as an elaborate enterprise resource platform. You have the data center, which is mentioned. You have a database, which typically holds biometric data and other types of data. You have the software that does the validation of the biometric. You have the BVDs and the BVRs. Most of what we'll be talking about today is the BVRs and the BVDs. The satellite infrastructure and all of those things, VSATs and things, we will not go into them because we have no time. The BVRs are, think of them as a system made up of laptops, scanners, and cameras, which together allow you to register a person. The BVDs are, think of them like a point of sale terminal, similar to what you use when you go and buy something with your credit card. It's very similar, but in this case, the validation is not for cards, it's for fingerprints and other biometric data. So these are the two main things we are discussing: the biometric verification devices and the biometric voter registration kits. Here is information that the EC released during the debate in 2020. Now, Dr. Seribo is in the studio. I put it to him that this claim that they made, that all the devices that they have all been from 2011, cannot be correct. In fact, in your studio today, he's already acknowledged that there are some devices that come from 2014 and 2015. Even in your studio today, this information that they released is available on the internet. Everybody can go and check it. They claim that the devices that are in use for elections in these countries, the BVDs and the BVRs in particular, they are purpose-built for the EC. That is, these are devices that only the EC can use, more or less. They are specified purposefully for EC functions, and they date from 2011. And that was the basis of how we got involved as IMANI. A lot of people think that when we got involved, it was simply to try and stall the EC. That was not what happened. What happened that we saw this statement where they claimed that all the devices are from 2011, and based on that, the system as a whole is obsolete, and we need to spend a lot of money to buy new ones. We then started to do our research, and it is encountering data that is not correct. That led us to oppose the new register and the purchasing and procurement of the new system, and that led to this campaign in the first place. So keep that in mind. That is how IMANI got involved. IMANI had no issues with the EC until we saw this document. And that 2011 number, they used it until we exposed them, and then they stopped using it. They say the same also for the BVR. So they say both the BVD and the BVR, all of them have been in use since 2011. And this is fact that he cannot deny, because these are releases that they made themselves, and which he acknowledges and must acknowledge is complete lie. What led to our challenge was that we went in and we took a look at the records in Parliament, the records in the Ministry of Finance related to this matter. And these are matters that anybody can also go and check. We often call them program-based estimates, medium-term expenditure frameworks. These are what the agencies provide to the Ministry of Finance for you to use to project spending in the country. You saw that the letters that he was giving to you, all of them are from before May 2018. So that's how they played their tricks. Look at this document and look at the dates at which these purchases were conducted. You see that the BVR kits that were replaced, they happened in June of 2018 and October of 2019 in terms of the budgeting. But some of it is past years. So the past year purchases were 2,000 that were done in 2018. The BVRs are the laptops and those kind of things. You realize that these documents is showing you, suggesting that the system was obsolete, was what led the EC in 2018, after those documents have been issued, to buy new kits. So this is the tricks that if you don't pay attention, you get confused. So look at the dates very carefully. You must realize that this EC was not in office. This current EC was not in office. The current commissioner and the key lieutenants were not in office. The current EC commissioner came to office in July of 2018. The documents was showing you were documents that the previous EC solicited in order to prove to Parliament that they needed more money to buy more equipment. So he collected those documents from vendors. Remember that vendors always want to sell more. So if vendors are not checked, they will always tell you the system, the device app, it's better off if you buy fresh ones. That one is a fact, right? So what she got those documents, she sent them to Parliament as part of her engagement with parliamentarians to prove that this country needed to buy new devices. Money was then released. Based on the monies that were released, them to buy new devices. But the truth of the matter is that if you go back, you will see that in 2016, for instance, we bought 500 DVRs, and the number there is not refurbishment, it's replaced. You also see that the dates are past years, which means this investment that have already been made. Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because they make it look as if the BVDs all bought at the same time, the BVRs are bought at the same time, etc. That's not the truth. The truth is that we've been buying them in bits and pieces, 500 today, 2,000 today. So you see that this one that I showed was 2,000 kits. In the total case that they bought at one go was 8,500. Before the BVR, the laptops, let's just say the laptops, so everybody is not confused. The laptop that they bought in 2018, in that June period, that was 2,000. And you had another one, 500, bought in 2016. Two things are proven by these two documents. One being that not all the devices were bought in 2011 has the EC plate. The second fact is that they don't buy them all at once in the past. Because what they used to do is that when they find out that some are faulty, they replace them. The third critical fact is that the document that is shown to you that claimed that the BVDs and things like that were obsolete were in early 2018, and the DC that was then active, or rather in power or in office, used those documents to generate the basis on which Parliament has to give them more money to buy more devices.
What changes? What changes?
Right?
The fact that these documents had been prepared by the previous EC to Parliament to justify why there was a need for replacement, which they simply came and implemented. What's the problem?
You are confusing yourself. No, Samson. I'm saying that the devices, they are not one device. It's not like every time we went buy device at one time and all of them are bought at the same time. They are bought at different periods. So in your portfolio, think of it as a box, and you have different laptops in it. The laptops are bought at different times. So there are indeed some laptops that date from 2011 for the 2012 elections. And there are some laptops that you buy after that. And there are some laptops that you buy in maybe 3 years ago. So when you look at the full set of laptops, not all of them will be obsolete. Some will be obsolete and you will replace them. So the letters that the EC boss then in before this new group came into office, those letters were really in relation to some of the BVDs and BVRs. And that led to the basis on which Parliament gave them money to replace in 2018, not the 2021. So don't get confused.
All right, but how about this? Because forgive me, because these are technical issues and you clearly appear to know them far better than I can appreciate. But you said in your statement, you charged the EC that they had failed to follow due process or lawful processes in the auction of the obsolete machines. The evidence I am looking at right now on this table shows the contrary.
Step by step. No. I'm now explaining the procurement issues. I'm explaining to that the documents that is just read in the studio are meaningless because you have to follow the timeline. And you have to understand the way the portfolio of the EC is constructed. It's not like 2011, they go and buy 7,000. And then the next year, they replaced all of them. That's how it works.
Yeah, your suggestion was that somebody wanted to benefit from procurement because this is how things are done in this country. And we see documentation that shows that they got expert advice to dispose of the equipment and that they were obsolete. You had also said that refurbishment will be less expensive. The documentation shows that new BVRs will rather be less expensive.
No, I'm explaining to you that everything he read to you is meaningless because of distance so fast. And that's what I'm explaining. He read you documents from January 2018 and May 2018, written by the previous EC, written to the previous EC by vendors of the equipment, suggesting that the equipment were end of life cycle. I'm trying to explain to you that is not for every single device that was there because the EC had bought some just the year before. And I showed you documents that showed here. In 2018, 500 devices. So in 2016, they bought 500 devices. So if the EC, the vendor is writing to you that some of them are end of life cycle, that cannot apply to those devices. So essentially, they buy them at different periods. You understand the point? The second point is that, so if some of them are obsolete, you replace them. And the EC got the money from Parliament to replace them before these new guys came in, these new officers came into office.
Okay.
That was the point. So that explains the letters. Okay. Now, having explained the letters, we go to the Auditor General.
Right. We have very limited time. We have very limited time. So if you can
end on the procurement point on whether or not the BVDs are obsolete, because everything we are going to say anchors on whether or not the device are obsolete. So here is evidence that comes from the Auditor General that show you the days in which payments were made. So supply of biometric registration kit. This was in 2016, February 2016. How much did we spend on them? $4.3 million. You are telling me that BVR kits bought in 2016 in February at $4.3 million in 2018 becomes obsolete? That cannot be the case. There are several of them here, preparation, etc. The final payment, 19th May 2016. Final payment of biometric voter registration kits components, $2.1 million. In 2016, we spent $2.something million, $4.7 million to buy laptops, and in 2018, all of them become obsolete. What you are claiming? Secondly, we also have records from the exchanges between the EC and the Parliamentary Committee, where they convinced them to give them money to buy 5,000 new BVR kits, in addition to the 7,500 that they refurbished in 2016, and 5,000 new BVDs. So when we read those documents, it's clear that after 2018, they were trying to convince Parliament to release money to buy new devices, and these monies were released based on that they bought new devices in 2018. As for the record show, the same argument you can make is that somehow all these submissions to the Ministry of Finance, Auditor General, and the rest are lies. If that is proven, we will retract.
Okay.
But unless that fact is proven, the documents are absolutely clear.
All right.
2014, 2015 alone, they purchased 40,000 BVDs. So that's essentially the problem.
Okay.
It cannot be in any way claimed.
All right.
To the issue and favor rates.
Okay, Brighter, I'm sorry, but we just have run out of time at this point. It is only fair to get a minute's response from Dr. Sribokwe.
With respect to the unit cost of elections, you should understand that electoral commission's budget is made up of administrative cost and operational cost. So if you are computing what affects the voter, you should use the operational cost. You don't use the total cost of the commission. Because for the administrative cost, every year to make up whether there's election or no election. So that's the first thing that you should understand. Okay. Again, IMANI initially said that we spent 300 million for purchasing the BVR, the kits. Later they came to 150. Now what figure are they using? Because we don't know the figure they are using to compute the 12.70% that you're talking about. I don't know. See, the fact is,
okay.
The fact is that the issue, you bring the issue, then you initially, I think when I was coming here, my thinking was that we do not use the right procedures to dispose of. Now these are the evidence. Why don't you tackle this one too?
Oh, all right, but he's saying things that are implicit. He tells you to understand that. Yes, quickly, I can take just a minute from both of you.
Yes. I had wanted to know whether the EC has an invoice, and I think Imani asked that question, which shows that refurbishment will be higher than invoice from the company that is to refurbish. Do you have that? So if that were there, then we can come to the conclusion, yes, you've asked from the refurbishing company.
Why do we change the discussion to the question of invoice?
No, but if you are saying that refurbishment will be higher.
No, the people have given you a letter to that effect.
Which people?
I've read that.
You were here when
we don't have time. I've read that.
No, but there should be an invoice to show that.
If you are challenging that, you must have a basis contrary to the
evidence. You must have an invoice to show that. It's an invoice that will show you.
So you don't.
But you see, all these things borders on procurement in the Procurement Act. Don't forget, your predecessors fell under this act. And so you must conduct yourself above board. And that for me is very key.
Until you can point out that they breach any procurement process, I think that doesn't come up. Yes,
well, something. I think that it's a healthy conversation to be had about electoral commission, keep them on task. But let's not veer too far off in just trying to make vain allegations that we can prove. Consistently, I think that IMANI has focused on EC for good reason. If they are criticizing, the facts are there. We appreciate it. We all want to follow that. but let's not create
You have
impression.
depended on IMANI heavily when you are in opposition.
And I'm saying that
For their research work.
I'm not discrediting them by any stretch, but I'm just saying that we should do so with a view to help them operate efficiently. But what I have seen and heard this morning, consistent with the letter they have issued and the allegations they have raised, he has not answered a single question of what they have raised before coming into the studio, which particularly to do with that they have auctioned some 10 BVDs, and then they have not used legal processes, and so therefore something untoward has been done. For me, that was concerning, and I wanted to understand.
He has the opportunity of a minute before we close, but before that, this show is brought to you by Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go. Ashasi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 years plus. My Way Insurance, dial star 165 hash on MTN to join My Way today. Syntex Tanks is strong, it's tough. Flamingo Paints, simply superior. DBS Industries Limited, roofing, Papa Fie. And my outfit is by Konati Clothing. They are located at Adenta Shopping Center, Adenta Down. You can call them 0244 6767 32 6767 32. Konati Clothing. What you wear counts. Bright, if, in this minute, what can you say as your concluding statement that captures the issues in a manner that Richard can appreciate, because he says he hasn't heard you respond to any of the issues raised?
Laptops that cost the country almost $3,500 each. Keep that number in mind. And then BVD devices that cost the country almost $350 each. What we are saying is that they were bought between 2016 and 2019, according to Parliamentary and Ministry of Finance records. End of story. The EC has decided that these devices, and there are over 70,000 BVDs that were there, over 7,000 laptops that we are talking about. They claim all of them are obsolete. They cost $3,500 each, the laptops. The devices cost over $350 each. They claim they are all obsolete, and they've sold them to people that nobody knows, claiming that these people were simply helping the EC clear space.
You can no longer say they sold them to people nobody knows.
Has he given you the people who won the auction?
Yes, he has said so. He has given the names here.
What is the name of the company?
Yes, Electro Recycling something.
They recycled it. They did not buy the devices. They recycled it. The EC, look at the EC statement very carefully.
But they did an auction in the Daily Graphic. They advertised it, and somebody obviously bought them.
No. The person that bought them was not the recycling plant. Know why? Because in the EC statement, they said when they learned that the device was a recycling plant, they sent the police to go and retrieve 10 of them. If they didn't, if they knew it was the recycling plant, why did they send the police?
I'm sorry, but this all time will allow us. This has been Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. Tomorrow, Sunday, please join me on the law at 2 p.m. as we ask the question why the court refused to compel the president to assent to the anti-LGBT bill. We'll go through the judgment of the court with you so you'll understand why the court refused to compel the president. My guest once again, having Dr. Theo Champon, you heard him earlier, Abraham Amaliba, who is Director of Conflict Resolution of the NDC. Richard Ahiagba is Director of Communications of the New Patriotic Party. Dr. Sribo Kweku is Director, Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. Of course, you heard Bright Simmons of IMANI Africa. Have a good afternoon.